The Herman Miller Vantum is the new gaming chair everybody wants, but I'm going to tell you why I don't think you should buy it. The Vantum is a $995 chair, so I had high expectations when I ordered it. My initial impressions upon opening the box were really good. Herman Miller did a really nice job of making the unboxing more of an experience than the other chairs we've received from them. The dark collar combo and in your face branding is a nice touch from Herman Miller. One change from all the other Herman Miller chairs we've ordered is that the Vantum does require some assembly. The backrest is my favorite thing about the chair, and honestly, this is the one area of the Vantum that actually feels like a Herman Miller chair to me. The look of it and the color really gives me Cosm vibes, and I've already talked about being a big fan of the backrest not locking you into place like a typical racing chair does. I also really like the lumbar support on the Vantum. I think it's the best lumbar support I've used on any Herman Miller chair, and that includes the Aeron, which uses a very similar posture fit system as we see on the Vantum. I can just feel the change when adjusting the knob, much more so than the Aeron chair. I really like the Vantum for lower back support, and I also like the natural curve and high back design because I do feel like it supports me through my entire back. While I like the backrest itself, I think the headrest is terrible. It feels cheap, it's very difficult to adjust, and really does not feel like something that Herman Miller would put out. If you want to use it all the way leaned back, it's a problem because it just forces your neck forward and it's really uncomfortable to use. It gives me human scale freedom vibes, and I really dislike that headrest. I just cannot find a comfortable way to use it when leaning back. I will say that it is pretty good for providing support when you're in that mid to upright range. If you use your chair like this, then you may like it, but it doesn't work for me with the way I use my chair. I also think the upper back support thing that they added is just kind of a cheap, gimmicky piece of plastic, and I really don't think it does much. The Vantum doesn't follow the mold of a bucket seat design with pronounced side bolsters like we see on almost every gaming chair. Instead, they molded their design after an ergonomic chair. I like this decision a lot. The seat and backrest designs are much more open, allowing you to move around more freely in the chair as compared to racing style chairs with their very rigid frames and pronounced side bolsters on the seat and back. This is very important to keep your muscles loose, blood flowing, and helping with overall stiffness when sitting for long periods of time. Going away from the bucket seat allowed Herman Miller to put a seat slider on the Vantum, which allows you to adjust the depth of the seat to help accommodate short and tall people. Unfortunately, this is one area where I think Herman Miller completely missed the mark. The seat depth is very shallow, and the angled seat front makes the problem even worse. I'm 5'9", and it's already too small for me. If you're taller than me, it's almost unusable. You really need to be about 5'6" or under for the seat depth to fit you properly. This is really strange to me because the range they offer is actually quite large, but in the wrong direction. You can make this chair tiny, small enough to fit a very small child. I'm not sure if that's who they're targeting with this chair, but it just seems like such a huge miss. On top of the small size, I don't think the seat is very comfortable. The foam just doesn't feel nice to sit on. Herman Miller isn't known for their padded seats, but we do have a Sella and Sail here, and I find both of them to be very comfortable. So I'm a bit disappointed with the comfort on the Vantum's seat. The arms are one area where I think they were really close to nailing. They have three-way adjustment, which is pretty good, but the depth and width ranges are pretty minimal, which ends up being a problem for me. They don't get as narrow as I would like, and they don't come back far enough to support me through the entire recline. The pads themselves are fine, they're soft, they're big, and they have a cool shape to make it more of that gamer feel to give it that sleeker look, but the lack of adjustment range is going to be a problem. Remember, I'm 5'9", and I'm already too tall for the seat depth, but I'm too small for the arms to fit me properly. You need to be shorter than me to use the seat, but taller than me for the arms to fit. This is a problem. The recline is another area where I think Herman Miller was so close to getting it right, but I see one major problem. The Vantum has a synchro-tilt mechanism, similar to the Lino and Sail. This is not a bad mechanism. In fact, I think it is definitely a higher end synchro-tilt mech, and I think a synchro-tilt recline motion is a big upgrade to the center or knee tilt mechs we see on almost every racing style gaming chair. I also like the dial system they use for the tension and limiter on the Vantum. Each adjustment clicks so you know you've gotten to the next option, and the numbered system is nice to help you know what positions you like for different aspects of sitting. Here's my complaint. Herman Miller makes the nicest recline mechs in the world on chairs like the Aeron, Embody, Mira 2, Cosm. Considering how much gamers like to recline back, and the fact that this chair will be used mainly in home environments, I think having one of those top-end reclines would have been perfect here. You're not getting that with the Vantum. The depth of the recline is nowhere near the higher end chairs I mentioned, and the range is actually pretty small, especially when this chair will be compared directly against gaming chairs that have backrests that can go almost completely flat backwards. One thing I noticed when putting the Vantum together and sitting in it for the first time is that it doesn't feel quite as solid and high quality as a typical high end chair from Herman Miller. The seat foam feels awkward, almost like it's bottoming out already toward the back. The fabric is also not very impressive. It feels like a downgrade from mid tier chairs from Herman Miller, like the Sail and Lino, both of which cost less than the Vantum. The mesh is the same story. Herman Miller has the nicest mesh I've ever seen on the Aeron chair, but the mesh on the Vantum is similar to what you would get on the Lino, which just does not compare to that high-end, soft, highly elastic pellicle mesh. I will say the Vantum does look a lot nicer in person as compared to the pictures and videos Herman Miller has put out. From a look standpoint, it has much more of a high-end design, but also some unique aspects like the colored back frame and angled arm pads that give it more of a gamer feel. I think it is a big upgrade to typical racing style chairs we see from brands like Secret Lab, and is certainly the nicest looking gaming chair I've ever seen. Overall, the Vantum is a disappointment for me, and I don't think it is going to be a good buy at $995 because of all the drawbacks that I've mentioned in this video. It's probably not going to be a great fit for the majority of people. If you're curious what I thought about the Secret Lab Titan Evo 2022 for half the price, check out this video.